People complicate things. That's what they've always been good at. Take a look at any functioning civilization and you will see chaos, confusion, and frustration. It could be human, Xi'an, Banu, Vandal, whoever. We may look different, be built different, but boil us down and you'll find the same insecurities, fears, and anxieties gnawing. Tonya Oriel watched the yawning abyss outside the window. Caselli's Adago and 4 gently wafted through the otherwise empty ship. Scanners cycled through their spectrums on the hunt for any flagged anomalies. The void. It was pure. It was simple. It was permanent. A calm serenity huddled around Tonya's shoulders like a blanket, the kind that can only exist when you're the only person for thousands of kilometres. Everyone else can have Terra, Earth, or Titus, with their megacities teeming with people. Never a moment where there wasn't a person above, beside, or below you. Everything was noise. Tonya needed the silence. Her ship, the Beacon, drifted through that silence. Tonya customised almost every hardpoint and pod with some form of scanner, deep-range comm system, or surveying tech to get her further and further from the noise. The problem was that the noise kept following. After 3 weeks on the drift, Tonya couldn't put it off any longer. She was due for a supply run and to sell off the data and minerals she'd collected. After repairs, new scrubbers, and a spectrum update, she hoped she'd have enough for some food. The Xenia shipping hub in the Baker system had been the closest thing to a home she'd had for the past few years. Tonya set her approach through the shifting entry and exit patterns of ships. The station's traffic was busier than usual. As soon as the Beacon docked, her screen buzzed with a handful of new messages from the spectrum. She passed them to her mobiglass and went to the airlock. Tonya paused by the entry and savoured this last moment of solitude as the airlock cycled, then hit the button. The sound of people swept inside like a wave. She took a second to acclimate, adjusted her bag and crossed into the masses. Carl ran a small information network out of his bar, the Torchlight Express. An old surveyor for a long-defunct terraforming outfit, Carl traded moving minerals for slinging booze and information. Tonya had known him for years. As far as people went, Carl was a gem. The Express was dead. Tonya checked local time. It was evening, so there was no real reason why it should be like this. A group of prospectors sat at a table in the corner, engaged in a hushed conversation. Carl leaned against the bar, watching a Satterball game on the wall screen. His leathery fingers tapped out a beat to some song in his head. He brightened up when he saw Tonya. "Well, well, well, to what do we owe the honour, Doctor?" he said with a grin. "Don't start, Carl." "Sure, sorry, Doctor." He must be bored. He only called her that when he wanted to pick a fight. Tonya slung her bag onto the ground and slid onto a stool. "Anything interesting?" Tonya pulled her hair back into a tie. "I'm great, Tonya, thanks for asking. Business is a little slow, but you know how it is," Carl said sarcastically and slid a drink to her. "Come on, Carl, I'm not going to patronise you with small talk." Carl sighed and looked around. "At this point, I'll take any patrons I can get." He poured himself a drink from the dispenser. Tonya swiveled her mobiglass around and showed him her manifest. He looked it over. "Running kind of light this time, huh?" "I know. You know any buyers?" "How much you looking to get?" "Whatever I can," Tonya said as she sipped. She could tell Carl was annoyed with the non-answer. "I need the money." "I might be able to get you 10, he said after a long pause. "I would give you my unborn child for 10. "With all the unborn kids you owe me, you better get started," he said. Tonya smacked his arm. One of the prospectors drifted over to the bar with empty glasses. He was young, one of those types who cultivated the dirty handsome look. Probably spent an hour perfecting it before going out. Another round. As Carl poured, the prospector looked at Tonya, giving his looks a chance to work their magic. They failed. Carl set a fresh batch of drinks down. The prospector paid and went back slightly deterred. "I think someone likes you," Carl teased. "Not my type." "Living?" "Exactly." Tonya watched the prospectors. They were really in an overly secretive conversation. "Any idea what they're here for?" "Of course I do." "Yeah? What they say?" "Nothing. Well, not to me anyway." Carl pulled an earpiece out and held it out to her. Tonya wiped it off and took a listen. Suddenly, she could hear their conversation loud and clear. Tonya looked at Carl, stunned. "You have mics on your tables?" she whispered. Carl shushed her. "I deal in information, honey, so yeah. Carl said, almost offended that he wouldn't listen in on his customers. Tonya took another sip and listened to the prospectors. It only took a little while to catch up. Apparently, Court, the prospector who tried to woo Tonya with his ruggedness, got a tip from his uncle in the UEE Navy. The uncle had been running search and rescue drills in the Hades system when their scanners accidentally picked up a deposit of cerium on Hades 2. Being the military, of course, they couldn't do anything, but Court and his buddies were fixing to sneak in there and harvest it for themselves. Cerium was a hot commodity. If these prospectors were on the level, they were talking about a tidy little fortune. Certainly, enough to patch up the beacon, maybe even install some upgrades. Even better, they obviously didn't know how to find it. Cerium doesn't show up on a standard metal or rad scan. It takes a specialist to find, much less extract without corrupting it. Fortunately for Tonya, she knew how to do both. "You've got that look," Carl said, and refilled her glass. "Good news?" "I hope so, Carl. For both of us." Carl offloaded her haul at a discount so she could set out as quickly as possible. Last time she checked, the prospectors were still at the Express, and from the sound of it, they wouldn't leave for a couple hours, maybe a day.
Hello, I'm Winston Churchill, and I use NordVPN to defend the Internet Empire. We will fight the ants on the beaches. We shall fight on the Internet. We shall fight the trackers and the malware. Whether we want to watch Netflix for another country or have greater accessibility to the Internet, we will defend our island home. At any rate, that is what we're programmed to do.
Thanks, Winston Churchill. What? What do you mean, Tin? That wasn't Winston Churchill? Point still stands. Go to nordvpn.com/BoredGamer to get yourself discounted NordVPN, or use the links below. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For November, we're giving away a Crusader Spirit C1. It's a fantastic looking multi-role ship that can fit a vehicle in the back or a load of cargo, and it looks really cool. It's got loads of forward-facing weaponry and a tractor beam. As it's a concept ship though, the winner will have a Cutlass Black in the meantime as a loaner. It comes with access to the game and lifetime insurance too, so bam! Even if you don't have Star Citizen stuff yet, you can get straight into the game with this. It's all you need. Just comment on any of my videos this month to be in for a chance of winning. A massive thank you to everyone that has used the join button under my videos to become a channel member, and my Patreons. You guys are awesome. It really does help the channel. Please consider becoming one of those lovely people too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.